picture in a dusty old box of two lovers too young to know better. Their eyes were still bright with the freedom of night spent running around a world that felt bigger. Do you remember when you found that car? You said that we were gonna ride forever, and you pulled in the yard with your ragtop heart. Mama started talking about going to heaven, and we sang, take it out, we can drive it around, nothing lasts forever, so let's go right now with top down. We'll escape this town, I wanna drive all night, so let's go right now.
Something in the water taught me how to crawl. Something in the water taught me how to fall.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Something in the Water podcast. I'm Uncle Dave Griffin along with...
I'm Sean Clark, and we are here with our guests Matt Mcmillan and Jeremy King.
From...
Wilcox County.
Wilcox County. That's in Georgia.
That is in Georgia.
That's well, you know, we like to kind of fly by the seat of our pants at this. So we didn't do any research like Johnny Carson and Dave Letterman used to do.
I don't know what you can find on us, honestly.
So we just kind of like learning as we go. So Wilcox County, tell us where that basically is. Middle Georgia?
It's kind of south central Georgia. It's like
South Central.
if you see Macon on the map, it's
Yeah.
about an inch below it on a map.
Below Macon.
We're
Okay.
near Cordell on the interstate.
Okay,
That's the closest
okay.
town to us.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, the Reverend Blind Pearlie Brown is from Abbeville, from Wilcox County, or
He's
county
Yeah.
seat.
a blues
He-
player.
Right.
Yeah, man. He had a
What
pretty
was his
incredible-
name? Blind
Pearlie Brown.
Pearlie Brown?
He was big in Americus, and he would go up to Macon and
Okay.
would perform up there.
Did you ever listen to him?
I don't know. I don't know that name.
We're going to have to check that out.
What years was it?
He was active in like the 60s and the 70s.
yeah.
Okay.
Neat.
He was around. There's always been rumored that he taught like Dwayne Allman how to play sliders. And,
Oh,
yeah,
I might have heard
He
his
was the
name,
first
but-
African American to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. Actually,
neat.
played Carnegie Hall. Had a pretty cool life, really.
That's
Wow.
Wilcox County's claim to fame, other than like meth. And,
So, well, outside of the drugs and the blues, which they both go hand in hand, what is the town associated with Wilcox County? What
Rochelle, probably.
Rochelle?
Yeah.
Rochelle, Georgia. All right. Well, you boys play music, obviously, and you play together. It's Matt Mcmillan and the City Limits
Yes, sir.
is the name of the group. How long have you been, has that group been in existence?
I think we're going on 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years, something like that.
We've been, as you said, flying by the seat of our pants for about 2 years, just trying to figure it out.
Great.
That's
How many people are in the band altogether?
It it differs depending on the
Right.
time of the year, I think. But
Yeah,
at
I
the
know that
moment,
feeling.
we're rolling with a 5-piece.
Yeah, great.
I think pre-pandemic we started trying to go with a 5-piece with just a full band set up with drums, bass, guitar, and pedal steel, and it obviously the coronavirus kind of put a halt to all that, but we started picking back up with that recently.
Do you, I noticed you said pedal steel when, does he get paid more for those extra strings?
I don't think so.
He gets taken for granted more, maybe. I don't know.
I'm supposed to get paid?
Yeah, there's money involved.
Yeah.
Pedal steel is a monster.
I still remember the day he got it, because we played music together for longer than 2 years probably, and just playing covers and bars and stuff like that. But I remember when he bought the pedal steel, I was like, man, we can finally get the sound I've been dying to get now.
That's the instrument right there.
So you had not had any prior experience when you bought the pedal steel, other than having heard it, listened to it.
I played guitar for years, and I started playing like slide guitar, and I play lap steel a little bit, but I just really, like I said, my wife was going to school in Athens at the time, and there were some musicians up there that I really I got to know and like their music, and that just got my interest going in it.
Yeah. John Neff.
John Neff, yeah,
is a big name pedal steel player from Athens.
He's been a really good mentor, friend to me throughout learning and everything. He was always kind enough to answer any question I had, and actually invented an instrument called the Mando steel that Eastwood airline guitars is doing right now. And when
wait a minute now, John Neff invented.
You
did. You invented what now?
It's called the Mando steel.
Mando steel.
Yeah, and it's a lap steel that's strung up like a mandolin. It has like
it's like four courses
of
eight
strings.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you fret it or slide?
Slide on it. But Eastwood started producing it, and Neff was kind enough to do the demo with me. For one, so they sent us one for him to do the demo.
That's
on.
impressive.
So it was pretty cool.
That's wild.
So have you? I mean, you copyrighted, patented, all of that kind of stuff.
How'd that go?
Yeah.
No. You better get it done, buddy. You better do that.
Somebody else snatched that.
I think it was. I talked to our lawyer buddy, and I think he trying to get like a provisional patent or something. He was trying to handle it for me. So.
Oh, well, by all means, man, jump on that. You need to get that done.
Absolutely.
So
it'll be documented here on this podcast.
That's right.
It's yours.
Yeah, we might have to cut
We'll have to
that
play this
section out.
Yeah, a week or two ago, I saw a guy in the Czech Republic was making them. That was kind of interesting.
Really?
So that raises questions for me. Is did you invent it?
No.
You for real saw somebody else doing it?
Yeah, someone else has already started making them.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Did y'all put out any kind of videos about it or anything?
Yeah,
You
we did. I did document
It
it.
has been leaked.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And I printed on my emails too, just
Did
in
it
case.
sound like, just a higher timbre, tonal mandolin
Yeah,
type, just a higher register?
it's got a cool sound to it. It sounds like a lap steel with a lot of chorus on it.
Yeah.
It's got a unique sound to it, but you can
'Cause
do
it's-
like tremolo picking and
it's got
stuff on it still. It's pretty,
multiple strings.
yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool.
Pretty cool. Well, I've always loved pedal steel guitar. In fact, some of the first music that I ever listened to was as a 3-year-old. My daddy had a nice record collection, albums and 45s, and he was in the Air Force. So we had this beautiful stereo console cabinet made in Germany, and that's where I first listened to everything, and it was Hank Williams records.
I figured
was
you were about to say that.
What he had.
Yeah.
Well, there was a pedal steel player in the Drifting Cowboys by the name of
Don Helms.
John Helms.
Yep.
And it just so happened that me and Sean were in an original project here in Waycross back in the 2003 through 2007, where we recorded this concept CD called Blood in the Pines, the story of Hollis Shepherd. And it was based on a real story that happened in South Georgia, and we
Changed everything.
yeah,
The names.
took
and stuff.
liberty with the story and
Protecting
altered
the
it.
innocent.
Altered it
Concept
to protect
The Fargo
our
Yeah,
approach.
'cause they were still alive.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, just so happened that we had a buddy in Nashville who knew Don Helms.
Was this computer guy? He was fixing his computer for him.
Jimmy was.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And anyhow, he messages us and says, "Hey guys, you want pedal steel on those songs?" A couple of songs on that CD, and he said, "I think I can."
Well, he didn't play pedal steel. He just played steel.
It's like a lap steel.
Yeah, it wasn't pedals.
It
That's
might
right,
have had
that's
one
right.
like the B or something.
Yeah. One of those early.
Yeah.
That was almost
And,
that like Hawaiian sounding
It
style.
was
Kind of
Style.
swing, like
very
Western swing,
much
kind of.
the Hawaiian type sound. And anyhow, it was like we might have an opportunity to get Don Helms on your recording.
And
I
to
was
us, it was like, oh, man, royalty.
God, yes.
He's the last surviving member at the time.
Right.
And then
A few weeks later, we
was-
hear back, and he says, "Man, I hate to tell you this, but Don Helms just had a stroke."
Oh,
And it
man.
was like, oh, no.
Oh, man.
And then,
he had 2 more strokes.
but
Smaller.
time went by, and not that much time.
A few months went by.
A few months went by, and we hear back from our friend. He says, miraculously, Don Helms is pulling through this stroke.
Well, the first thing out of his mouth was, Don says, "Them Waycross boys want to record or what?"
Oh,
The
man.
answer's
And
yes.
so, like, we got there as quick as possible.
Oh, man, what a weekend that was.
So y'all got to record with him.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
In Nashville.
I think it might have been his last recording.
Pull your mic over to you a little more there. There you go. Just chuck it, angle it towards you there. There you
that?
go.
Cool.
And it was great. And Mike and Pam Johnson had access to a little 7 or 8 passenger plane, and
4 or
we
6
flew up
passenger.
there. Might have been about 6. One of them little old.
Cessnas.
Yeah. And so 4 of us flew up there.
Me and Paul were running
and
sound
Paul
in North Carolina.
We're running sound and drove on up there.
We drove to Nashville from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
And then I
so-
flew back with y'all.
Yeah. And so we got there on a Friday night, and boy, we hit Nashville, and
Halloween.
It was Halloween too, and it
They're
was
like-
crazy. I mean, first thing we did was went to Broad Street, or is it Broadway, whatever the main drag is,
Yeah.
and landed in a great steakhouse. Had the best steak that I've ever eaten. Then from there we went bar hopping. Wound up at like Tootsie's and that Roberts or something boot, and that boots where they sell boots, and they also, every little place up there's small and got a stage stuck right in front of the plate glass window.
Oh, absolutely.
And we bar hopped, and there was a dude walking around with a half mask of Elvis on, with the 70s Elvis
Well,
with
it was
sunglasses.
Halloween, so people were dressed up.
Oh, yeah.
He had the black bouffant pompadour, the sunglasses, and the pork chop sideburns, and that was it. That was it. And then you put that mask on, and you breathed through your own nose and spoke through your own mouth. Sean walks up and just rips the mask.
No, I
No,
didn't.
he didn't. He borrowed. He said, "Hey, you mind if I
No,
borrow your mask?"
I didn't
or
even do
something?"
he offered it to me.
He did. Must have.
There was this.
You
there,
were-
there was
you
an Elvis statue. Let me take care of this. There's a big Elvis statue on the corner that was always there, and then he was doing some stuff, and I can do the leg thing.
Yeah.
And so I started doing, but just like a movie, there was all these Asians with cameras taking pictures of this guy, and then I got beside him and started doing the leg, and then they were all like, "Oh." And then he threw him the mask to me. That's how it was.
Yeah. It was,
Anyway,
it was
they're the guests.
It was fantastic. Yeah. Well, I figured y'all
Come
like
back
that
next time.
story.
We'll tell you.
yeah.
Come back next time. We'll tell you about some more stuff we did.
Well, I figured y'all would like that story because it was Nashville and Don Helms. Anyhow, the next day or Sunday, we went to the house up there, and Don Helms came over with the legendary original
Console.
guitar
Gibson.
that
Yeah.
played on those songs. You know,
Man.
He said
Still
God.
had
it's
it.
called Old Red or something.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had to get it out of the car for him.
it's a Gibson.
Oh, man.
And,
Be careful.
and as I'm carrying it, he's like telling me, Marty Stewart offered me $300,000 for it. And I'm screwing in the legs, and I'm like, please don't cross the red. Like, oh my God, I'm freaking
Man.
out.
Oh,
Wow.
That's incredible, though, man.
yeah.
Him and his wife, Hazel.
Yep. But that was I've always loved the steel guitar. Anyhow, it's just such an instrument, and so when he said, I'm fixing to tackle the steel guitar. You say yes, 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 yes.
It's funny because I was already listening to Hank Sr. and you know, a little bit of Graham Parsons and just things like that with the
Cool.
very pedal steel heavy. And it wasn't until honestly recently, I think, that I heard there was a genre name for it. Like people are calling it now like alternative country or something like that. But some of that old Hank stuff I was already really getting involved with, and then he rolled up with that. And
I was kind of late to the party on like the country music. I always grew up listening to rock primarily. And the like I said, Neff was my main influence getting into it, but also Ronnie Wood. I always liked him. So that was
how long have y'all known each other?
as long as I can remember.
since middle school, high school.
Yeah,
or something like
yeah,
that.
it's been a while.
Right,
Growing
now,
up in a
how
small
long have
town.
you played music?
I've been playing music since I was about 17, I think.
Okay.
He got into
about
it much
you?
earlier.
I started playing when I was about 12.
Okay, so when y'all met in middle school, you were already dabbling with it.
That's right.
And then you, like me, was a late bloomer. I was
Yeah.
about 17 when I picked it up myself.
We started playing in a gospel band together called
Yeah.
Sinner's Bench.
Sinner's Bench.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a terrible name for a gospel band.
Well,
Or
Like
a
a
good
rock
one.
band.
It might be.
Great one.
It might be. People remember
Great
the
name for a bar band.
That's
That's
what we were kind of a weird fusion bluegrass kind of group. I don't know, like because I only played when I was 17. The first instrument I ever learned was the mandolin, and I still play the mandolin. But it was actually a year or two until I learned the guitar actually, and we came together at Sinner's Bench though.
Yeah.
cool. Sinner's Bench. Did y'all, I suppose you played in a lot of churches. then?
We did.
We've
We
been
did.
in many churches across South Georgia.
Absolutely. And that was our only time in Nashville.
Yeah.
We went and recorded a record in Nashville up there.
Yeah,
As Sinner's Bench?
We did.
Yeah.
which ironically or humorously, we almost actually won a Dove Award for that, which is like the
No
gospel
kidding.
Grammys
Yeah.
thing. And
The equivalent of the Grammy.
we were nominated, I think, but we didn't.
That's
win.
awesome.
And we really did everything to not be a good functioning band. We were
We
not
did.
properly.
We did.
did not operate like a band.
What year would that have been approximately?
2016. maybe?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So really not. We'd been playing as that gospel group for a while,
Yeah.
and
And our singer ended up. She moved to Colorado. So we just.
Yeah.
That's kind of when this
it kinda,
project kind of came to
I
light.
started writing more song, like kind of stuff we do now and everything.
Is that when you started writing after Sinner's Bench?
Right, just kind of evolved more into
It
this.
was actually pretty recent. I was thinking about it the other day that it consumes all my time now. Just trying to write good lines, but like I didn't start until I was in college. I think trying to write.
Yeah.
What was your major in college?
I got a degree from Valdosta in political science, and I thought for a long time I wanted to go to law school and do all that. And when I was in law school, I was in Macon, and I realized that I was having so much more fun playing music and writing songs. So I recklessly dropped out to play music.
Yeah. Well,
It'll get you once music's got its hooks in
It's
it.
a problem, really.
It's like, well, we better figure out how we can make this work because we're gonna go broke.
No doubt. Yeah.
That's right.
well, as far as your first songs, were you did you do any writing in the gospel group, or was that somebody else primarily that
I actually did.
sung?
About halfway through, you started
About
writing.
halfway through, I
So that
started.
would have been your first attempts at
Yeah.
songwriting, right there.
pretty much writing that. I sort of with gospel music. I don't know if it's bad or not, but I sort of realized there was kind of a formula for the writing those songs. And
Right.
when I realized that, I was like, well, this is cool and all, but now I want to actually try to do something that.
Take it to the next level.
Yeah, I want to spend some time on this.
Secular, is that?
Yeah.
Is that, I never can remember secular.
I think it's secular.
Secular is
Non-religious.
Non-religious.
Non-religious. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, as with just about everybody that we've ever had guests on here,
Started in gospel.
there's that
Started in
old,
the church. Yeah.
that old correlation
It's the
between
region.
It is.
First
It
time
is.
I sang was in church. So.
Yeah.
Of course.
between religion.
But you know, it's a good foundation for it, though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you learn. I mean, that 1-4-5. I mean, that's common in the hymns. I mean, that's
I think rock and roll actually was sort of an extension
was.
of like
Everything.
it all.
spirituals and
Blues,
stuff.
country, bluegrass, all of it. You know, is rooted in
is,
gospel at some point.
and
to a degree.
and being from this area, this is the Bible Belt, and so
Absolutely.
you cannot deny most people having grown up
Yeah.
in the church or around it, close enough around it that it affects you.
No doubt.
I mean, Graham Parsons was the same way. You know, he was tortured.
Yeah.
He was a tortured soul. You know, he went through, as many of them were. Ray Charles, you know.
Yeah.
Little
Richard.
He had to try Little Richard, Aretha. You know,
What's the-
they all Jerry Lee Lewis. They always had to resolve
Oh yeah.
their being in rock and roll and pop music and everything, and out in the juke joints and everything. They had to figure out a way. It was really working on them
It was.
pretty hard, you know, and to an extent, it did me too. You know, I mean, it's a guilt thing.
It is.
You
It
know,
is
very much a guilt
It's something you have to balance for sure.
process. You know, trying
I'm the
to work
same
through
way.
that.
Sometimes I get kind of,
Yeah.
it gets weighing on me sometimes too. I think there's a connection with you know the music that comes out of the Southeast with being in the Bible Belt. I mean, I think there's a connection there because I mean the music here is, I don't know, it's just got something in it. It's a little bit different.
Sort of
Yeah.
a pining thing.
It
even when
is.
it's not
Yep.
religious.
It is. It's just
Yeah, I sense that too, buddy. Yes.
A longing or
yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it on Sweethearts of the Rodeo that I like the Christian Life or whatever
Yeah.
that song's
Yeah.
called?
Yeah, that was
Just in the middle of that really cool country album.
Yeah.
interesting about that is the Christian Life was a song that was written by the Louvin brothers, which was Charlie and Ira.
Man, the
And,
harmony. with them
Oh man,
guys.
And
the
man,
album covers.
Satan is real. Wasn't that
Bell-
real?
it's real, and they're like,
Bell Buckle, Tennessee, I think was the name of the town that they were from. And
man.
what is pretty cool to me is that there's a building here in Waycross called used to be called the Waycross City Auditorium. And there's a brick structure over there on Oak Street, and
it's not called that anymore.
well, they renamed it the C.C. McCrae Auditorium or Performance Auditorium, something like that. Anyhow, you know, like things happen, you know. They take the original name and they give it the name of somebody from Waycross who was influential.
Davis Parkway.
Like Ossie Davis Parkway is forever State Street to me, you know. Some things I just can't get out of the habit of calling it. But anyhow, when Graham Parsons, the old Waycross, Georgia boy, was 9 years old in 1956, I believe it was. He had the opportunity to go to the Waycross City Auditorium to see Elvis perform. And opening for Elvis that evening was the Louvin brothers,
Really?
the Carter family,
random.
little Jimmy
Dickens.
Dickens, I think, and some other guy. And that's what is amazing to me is that one night
He got to see
Graham Parsons saw and heard the
swath
Louvin
of
brothers
American music.
and
Yeah.
Elvis. And that was country rock, you know.
Yeah.
He got the harmonies from the Louvin brothers. He recorded his last albums with Elvis's band.
Elvis's band, James Burton.
So if that's not full
Ronnie
circle.
Tutt, Glenn D. Harden.
Man.
Phenomenal. I mean, that is a little trivial tidbit right there that is could be the exclusive. You know, had that not happened,
keystone
what
of
would
his
it-
career.
Yeah.
You
Which
know.
Man.
It is sort of how me and him have been playing music together for a long time now, but the places that we came from musically are almost kind of like that, which probably makes sense why we can meet in the middle with music like the Byrds and Graham Parsons and stuff, because he kind of showed me the blues and the Rolling Stones and stuff like that. And
I love
came
that
up,
stuff too.
Yeah, man.
I came up listening to, like Hank Sr. and the Carter Family was a huge thing, and bluegrass particularly.
Press that upon
Yeah.
you.
And so, coming together, I guess we had to meet at Graham Parsons.
I still can't get him to listen to Pink Floyd though.
Oh yeah. Our new Thangler album we were talking about the other day. Dave said, we need this to be like Pink Floyd meets Hank Sr. on a dirt road and they fight it out.
That's what I'm talking about.
I could probably get down with that.
I can appreciate
And
that.
then we actually got Don Helms on it, so it was pretty cool.
I don't have any of those with me, dadgummit.
Yeah.
Love to
It's on Spotify. No,
give y'all
you
a
don't have it on
copy.
Yeah, man, I have to check it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can just go
You don't
to
have it. It's on Spotify, right? Don't you have it somewhere?
Spotify,
Streaming wherever.
all kinds of places. You can actually listen, and Reverb Nation, I think you can listen to it.
Where can we find your music?
Yeah.
Spotify, Apple Music, I think it's on there.
Amazon,
yeah.
It's all the major.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
We have a little recording studio in Rochelle. We record out of, and we kind of operate it as a label too.
That's your studio.
And one of our bandmates in Center's Bench, we actually started it together, and now we work together at the courthouse in Wilcox County. So that's
What's the name of your studio?
It's called High Rock Records.
High Rock.
There's a road. It might even be closed now, but in Wilcox County, there's a road called High Rock Road.
We got High Rock Road right over here in the neighboring county,
Really?
Franklin County, and that's
Might be
where
the
all
same
of my
road.
ancestors are buried.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on High Rock Road, right there in the same cemetery with Lydia Stone,
Oh yeah.
Oh, what?
the old
I forget the name of the church.
You said Berrien County, is that where?
Brantley.
Brantley.
Oh, Brantley.
Brantley County. It's right outside this side of Hoboken. Yep, and
Brantley County mating call.
Oh yeah.
But
It's funny you say that. Actually, in Valdosta, I made a friend that was from Hoboken, and he would always tell people I'm from Waycross, because when he'd say Hoboken, nobody knew where that was.
yeah.
That's
New
where Frank
Jersey.
Sinatra was born. Yeah.
Hoboken, New Jersey. That's pretty cool. And you actually went to school in Valdosta. We know a lot of folks from over there, which I'm sure that y'all being from Macon, we know a lot of folks from up there. So it's pretty cool that we've ended up
It's a small world.
It
knowing
is.
all of these same folks.
I don't think the folks at home know this, but you contacted us online or whatever, and we started talking. So we don't know a whole lot about each other yet,
Right.
and so we come in here, and then it's like, oh, we all know the same people.
That's
So
right.
It's like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we the studio actually had our first music festival
Yeah.
this past year.
The studio
Yeah,
itself had a music.
Yeah, we had a music
That's
festival.
High Rock
pretty
Music
unique.
Festival.
Yeah, and the Page Brothers, I know y'all had them on
Oh,
here.
yeah.
They came and played, and those are good guys, good musicians.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's funny too, because we're trying to, I guess, bring the music scene together in South Georgia, maybe, because I invited a lot of my friends from Macon to come down, and we all met in the minuscule town of Pitts, Georgia, and
That's right.
had a music festival.
Only thing that's landed there since 1913 was a meteor.
And an alien or two.
That's right. Yeah,
So
but
the High Rock Festival was in Pitts.
Yeah.
where Matt works he works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since the pandemic, I started playing music about a year ago, and since the pandemic, I didn't have any gigs, and I took a job at something called Oliver Farm. And Oliver Farm, yeah.
Farm.
A guy named Clay Oliver, the namesake of the company, started making sunflower oil several years ago. And side note, it's actually kind of cool. You should check it out, because like Martha Stewart actually uses the stuff we make and random people like that. But,
Wow.
How about that?
But they were like a big sponsor of the festival.
Yeah, and
and
we
helped us put
worked
it together.
together on it. We combined it, called it the High Rock Music and Makers Festival, where had a lot of people that make like handcrafted stuff.
Cool.
We're selling at the festival. It was pretty cool.
So we might have to get Oliver Sunflower Oil as a sponsor on here.
That's right. That's right.
Something in the
We'll talk about that
podcast.
tomorrow, Clay.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure right now it's free publicity, Clay.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
We're glad to
First time's free.
talk about your sunflower oil.
Well, it's funny. I was last year in Macon. They started the college in Macon, Mercer University, teamed up with Rob Evans, and they reopened Capricorn up there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they had one of the first. It might have been like the first live show they had, and they built an area for live music, and I somehow got to open for Adam Hood. He's a songwriter for like Miranda Lambert and people like that. But it was funny. I was doing an interview on the Creek, which is a radio station out of Macon, and we were talking about
we've been
something.
on
And
there.
I was like,
Yeah, we've been on there.
speaking of sunflowers, Oliver Farm. And I was just like, I'm going to need a raise.
That was a cool experience.
That
You got
was
a
real
Brent
cool.
Cobb.
Yeah, Brent Cobb was there. That was
Yeah,
really
that was-
cool.
Adam Hood. You mentioned Hood.
He's
What is
from,
that, Patterson Hood? Or David Hood.
I don't know if they're.
That was
David Hood is.
That's the
the
Alabama
original.
Hoods. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
I think
Russell
it's
Shoals.
The Swampers, yeah.
Patterson
Adam
was
Hood
his son.
is. I'm trying to think. I know him
Adam
from.
actually might be
I
from
think he's from
Alabama
Alabama
too.
too, but he's a different set.
Yeah, I
Different
know
set
him
of
from.
hoods.
I don't know him, but I've heard. I'm familiar with him from playing in Albany, but I think he's from Alabama, right?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere over that way.
Maybe.
Tuscaloosa.
I was going to say Tuscaloosa. Maybe.
Yeah.
He was really cool though. He apparently him and Brent Cobb work at the. Maybe at the
I
same
played some
label?
shows with Dallas Dorsey,
That was Dorsey. That name's
and he
familiar.
played with Adam,
Okay.
Okay.
but he also has his own thing too. But they do a lot of shows together.
Have you written any?
A little bit. I mainly just record for other people. Honestly, the main thing I do is
But as
just
far as words and songs and stuff like that,
I
have
wrote
you-
a little bit for
Yeah.
Sinner's Bench. I did a little solo thing,
Gotcha.
but most of my solo projects are mainly just instrumental, mainly just steel guitar music.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people probably don't care to listen to instrumental steel guitar music, but it's out there though.
I like it.
Did you feel like the songwriting when you first started it and everything was a process? That it? I mean, you mentioned earlier that you found a kind of a formula in the gospel sense, and
It's
it
funny.
wasn't the same
Yeah.
formula when you moved outside
Not at
of.
all. The
Yeah.
songwriting is probably the most like rewarding and difficult thing I've ever tried to do because
It sure is.
the reason I found it so not easy but more quicker to write a gospel song is that you have a general idea, you know.
You know what it's got to be about.
Yeah, exactly.
There's already
the
like,
end of the story is that,
There's
you know,
already a
hopefully
vocabulary.
good in some way.
It's
but when you're trying to
always
write
gonna
a
be good.
song that's not about that, then it's just a blank page.
Yeah.
And when I first started writing, I think it was actually shortly before I was going to start law school, and Jeremy actually told me, he's like, man, you know, if you can come up with just a few songs, we'll just record an EP and see if it would be worth listening to, basically. And I actually don't know where those songs came from, honestly, because I just sat down one week and I somehow just wrote them, and I realized after the fact that was an anomaly because
Yeah.
now as I'll wake up, you know, like several hours before work every day just to try to like continue writing, and also because one of the people I would like I look up to, I guess, is like Guy Clark, the phenomenal songwriter, and his advice on writing was just have a pencil and sit at a desk until something happens, and I try to do that, but it's nowhere near as fluid as those first few songs.
Well, that's pretty impressive. That you know, and it is an anomaly when something happens where it just flows. In over the course of like 3 or 4 songs, the first 4 songs you ever write, if it just flows out of you, you get that kind of tricks you into thinking,
Exactly.
That's
I'm a
right.
songwriter
this is
now.
going to be great. It's always like this,
Yeah.
you know. But it ain't, unfortunately.
Some of them pop out pretty easy, and then others.
But you are so right when you say rewarding and heart wrenching and heartbreaking and heart aching and hard work. It's all of that. But when you get to the end of it and
when you actually, I was
And it's
talking to
there.
a friend. Yeah, when you write something that you're like, I created that,
Yep.
and it's actually decent.
Yeah.
It's worth more than money. It don't pay the light bill, but it's worth more than money.
No, it's there's only a few fortunates can end up, and these days that's not as common as it used to be, you know, but can end up writing a song and making money off of it.
Yeah.
Those days are just about gone now, but it still don't stop me from wanting to do it, you know.
Wow.
I mean, it's just I've talked to friends that we've had on here that have more or less just turned their back on the process anymore. No, I'm done with the original songwriting. I've made peace with it. I've attempted that direction. Now I'm going in this direction now, and I can't, for the life of me, that just don't register with me because it's just so deeply personal, you know, that
That's all I ever wanted to do.
that's right.
Was to write a song. That's why I wanted
more.
to play a guitar so I could write a song,
Yes.
not so I
That's
could be
pretty much the same reason
Eddie
I
Van
wanted.
Halen.
Yeah.
I wanted to write a song. You know?
That's what I'm really into. A few years ago, I got into the kind of Texas songwriter scene with Guy Clark and Towns Van Zandt, people like that. And I've sort of never gotten over that, and that's why I idolize those guys so much. Because even in like Guy Clark's like late 60s, he was just still writing just painfully good songs.
Cold Dog Soup.
Oh my gosh, I agree. It's funny. I was actually. It's funny you said that. I was in law school, like having a weird crisis of identity of trying to decide if I wanted to be an attorney or actually write songs. And I heard that entire album of
That's an amazing
Cold Dog
album.
Soup, and where he says there ain't no money in poetry, and that's what makes the poets free. But then he's sarcastic,
I've had
and
all
he's
the
just
freedom-
like, "But I've had all the freedom I can
stand.
stand." Good writing, though, man.
Yeah. Towns Van Zandt standing at the bar, skinning a Hollywood movie star. Can't remember where he parked his car
Or to whom he lost the keys. Yeah.
That's some good stuff.
That whole album is
Sis Draper, that was a good one.
That's what I'm also a big Steve Earle fan, and
Oh, yeah,
not
man.
to nerd out about
Yeah,
Texas
we're going-
songwriting, but on that album, that Fort Worth Blues,
Yeah,
so good
yeah.
because Steve Earle wrote that song.
No, I
so-
think it's the other way around, right? I'm confused about that myself because the first time I heard it was Steve Earle, and then when I heard Guy Clark, I just assumed it was Guy Clark's song.
this. I can only say I haven't talked to him, so I don't know.
Yeah,
But the only story I know is that Guy Clark, Steve Earle tells a story.
It's
that
about Towns.
He was touring shortly after Towns died, and he was touring in like Colorado, and Towns had a horse named Amigo that he always kept, I guess, in Colorado, and he claims they got in a blizzard, and though he couldn't see the road, he claims that the horse Amigo walked up, and he wrote Fort Worth Blues after that. I don't know if that's true or not,
I
but
hadn't heard
it's a
that one.
great story.
You did talk to Steve Earle one time, didn't you?
I did get a chance to,
Did you?
yeah. Steve Earle is a big influence of mine in terms of songwriting. Just fantastic songwriter.
Me too.
Where did you meet him?
He was this was actually before I lived in Macon, but just being in Wilcox County, the kind of closest place to see good music is Macon, and he was playing at it used to be the Cox Theater, it's now
Cox
Parkway, but
Yeah.
he was playing there, and after the show was over, he hung around
Neat.
and like talked to people, and it was one of the coolest things because I got to ask him about Towns Van Zandt.
Yeah.
Neat.
Me and the wife are going to go see him. It'll be our first time seeing him. And we're going to go to Montgomery, Alabama, see him.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Fantastic show.
Yeah, there was two that was the same distance. There was one Clearwater, Florida, or Montgomery. I was like, we're going to Montgomery. I'm like, Hank's buried there. I don't know what the hell he's going to be doing in Florida, but we're going to Montgomery.
It's funny. Several months ago, I got to open at this. There's a guy named Chris Roberts that had started. He's in the same label as like Blackberry Smoke and bands like that. And he was trying to. They were just trying to push him, I guess, as like an artist like Blackberry Smoke along those lines. And he came through Macon, and I got to open for him. But the guy that manages the Cox, he was just, as he was paying me for the gig, he was casually just like, I appreciate you playing. You know, Steve Earle might be coming through town sometime soon. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, we might be looking for some people to open. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, I don't want to sound too excited, but I would give you my house.
But it never happened. Or-
Never happened, as those stories do.
I got that. Well, we already said that, I think. But my old band got to open up for Jason Isbell there.
Cool,
That's super
man.
cool.
It was the first.
Fantastic songwriter as well.
That's a cool venue, man.
Yeah.
I met Marty Stewart in there one night.
Yeah. We had Marty Stewart down here at the Grand Parsons.
Man, he's cool.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, boy, he's a legend.
He is. Best hair in the business.
Legendary.
and that B-bender, old
Oh,
Clarence
man.
White's B-bender.
Yeah, Clarence White.
He had that out
What
there in
was
the
it, you was
fairground
talking
getting
about,
dirty.
was it y'all that was talking about Marty Stewart offered to buy
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
but-
that's me.
Don Helms
Don Helms guitar.
guitar? Okay, yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was just talking
He's a
about that.
collector.
Oh,
Marty
yeah,
is
man.
a
Fixing to
collector.
open up a museum.
Yeah.
He's apparently, you're talking about he had the B-bender, though, just like
Yeah.
out and about. I have a
Yeah,
friend.
it's like, man, put that thing behind some glass.
I know, right?
He's like, we're going to
you
play
might
it.
have met Shane Bridges in Macon. He's a songwriter up there.
Shane Bridges. That sounds
He's
familiar.
kind of, I think he might be in his mid-40s, maybe.
Shane
I'm
Bridges.
thinking of Shane Brown plays with the Poachers, but
Yeah, bass player.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he actually, I think he might have like toured
Wait a
for a
minute.
while,
Who,
but
Yeah,
who did he play with? Shane Bridges. Does he play with?
He plays by like under his own name now, but he had a band called Acoustic Workshop or something.
Dang,
That sounds familiar.
Familiar as hell.
But he said he actually got to hang out with Marty Stewart one time, and he was like, "Yeah, he let me play that B-bender," and he's like, "I felt like I didn't need to hold it really, but
Yeah.
That's why I told him we were recording for our friend in Capricorn one day, and I was playing sliding there on a song, and I was like, man, I feel like Dwayne Allman's ghost is judging me really bad.
Judging you.
Yeah, just
and we found out he was.
he was. He was. I asked him for some tips, but he floated off.
He's right over there. doing that. I was talking about Marty's, the B-bender of Clarence White. I read so many print interviews about that very subject, and he said he refuses to clean the dirt out of it.
Wow.
You know, the dirt still behind the pickups and everything. There is actual
Maybe
Clarence
because it's
White.
Clarence
Well, I
White's
noticed some
dirt.
Waycross
Yeah.
dirt on it because
Man,
I noticed some Waycross dirt on it
Because
he had it
why
out there
would
at the
you? You
fairground.
don't want to
Yeah.
change the sound. You don't want to alter anything. You know.
That was the first B-bender.
Oh my
Oh,
God!
absolutely.
That was Clarence.
Yeah, Graham
Clarence
would have been
White
involved in that.
And
It's two
and,
telly bodies put
Gene
together.
Parsons. Gene Parsons and Clarence White were the original
Creators of
creators of the B-bender.
now didn't he have some involvement with Clarence?
Well, yes.
That-
yeah,
I
with
mean,
the
like
Birds.
as far as playing together.
They hung out, surely. I mean, they hung out, definitely. When Graham left the Birds, Clarence joined.
Right.
And but
well, the whole Death Pack
the whole Death Pack
was because of they were at Clarence's funeral,
funeral. Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
he said, "I don't
remember
want."
that.
And it was
Clarence got
Yeah.
run over by a drunk driver while he was loading
his
equipment after a
up.
gig, and they had this big Catholic funeral, and all of anybody who was anybody was there. The country rock community. Well, Graham and his manager Phil Kaufman were sitting in the audience, and they were saying, "Jesus Christ, could you get any more boring than this? You know, this funeral is just like, if I die,
Joshua Tree.
if I die before you, I want you." And
Microphone.
he said, "If I die before you," and of course Phil Kaufman says, "And if I go before you," well, and of course Graham satisfied the Death Pack sooner.
You know, I never thought what was Phil's Death Pack. What was his?
It would have been the same thing.
Oh, he wanted
Yeah.
to do the same
It
thing.
would have been the same
Maybe
thing.
he just didn't
Whoever
bank
goes
on the
first,
drug
Yeah.
use
the
of
other one
his
will take our
partner.
body out to Joshua Tree Desert and cremate it. Set it free. And of course, everybody knows the story now. It didn't quite get set free.
Yeah.
It was,
They didn't know the science, but
yeah, it was like embalming fluid. I didn't realize it made such a big splash.
But we were talking about just the influence that Graham has had on music too. That it's not only the music he made, but also we wouldn't have Emmylou Harris had it not been for Graham Parsons, and that in itself. I mean, because it's funny too, because that crosses the line into after she quit singing with Graham. I'm guessing after he passed away, she actually kind of got in with the Texas scene with like Guy Clark and that whole crowd.
Rodney Crowell.
Yeah. It's amazing when you think about how simple it is for the what actually could have happened in time. What would have happened if John Lennon's daddy had kidnapped him when he was 5 years old that day at the shipyard, and took him to New Zealand with him, sailed off to New Zealand. Well, there wouldn't have been a Beatles,
Right?
Or it wouldn't have been that Beatles, It probably would have. The whole, it's the whole butterfly effect, with Graham, what would have happened if his daddy had not committed suicide that Christmas, They would have stayed in Waycross, possibly, probably.
His mom.
More than likely.
His mom passing away of alcohol.
His mama passing away at his high school graduation, I mean, just little things like that, just alter the whole fabric,
And it's crazy to think too that even like the extensions beyond that, because if I'm not mistaken, the first guitar player other than Glenn Frey and the Eagles was a member of the Flying Burrito Brothers prior to that.
Bernie Ledden.
Yeah. And that's actually most of that early Eagles is kind of like the Eagles that I like because it has that country sound.
Yes.
And I mean, that clearly has to be an extension of the,
definitely
the Flying Burrito Brothers because when he left,
they were trying
he stopped.
to do, they were definitely influenced after that.
Glenn Frey used to put his buckskin fringe jacket on and hitchhike down the L.A. freeway to every time he heard that the Burritos was playing out at Palomino or wherever that honky tonk was outside of Los Angeles, he would hitchhike and get a table right in front of the stage and sit there and study Graham Parsons. That was Glenn Frey. He would sit there, it's like this, just fan worship.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You can listen to the Eagles repertoire and like you say, especially the second album, the Doolin Dalton, the cowboy themed album was very much so. But Lion Eyes to me was one of the most
very pedal steel
perfectly crafted,
almost,
country rock songs, and you could just imagine, going back to Bernie Ledden, though, Bernie was in the Flying Burrito Brothers with Graham, so they were bandmates. And on the third Eagles album, On the Border, there's a song called My Man, which Bernie Ledden wrote, which is in tribute to Graham Parsons. My man's got it made. He's gone far beyond the pain. We who must remain, kind of thing is. It was a direct tribute to Graham Parsons. So he influenced a lot of folks.
Like, with my first introduction to Graham was my father's a huge Stones fan. All my whole family is.
There you go.
And, think about it with him on Exile.
Yeah.
I mean,
hanging out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I actually, one of my favorite steel players, Al Perkins.
Yeah.
And I talked to Al not too long ago
I met Al.
over the internet, and he had played with Graham.
He played on Cash on the Barrel.
Yeah, man. And that was just kind of wild. I mentioned I was from Georgia, and he was like, I was just like, man, this is crazy.
Dude. So I went up to Nashville for a while and stayed with Jimmy, who hooked us up with Don Helms. And I was trying to just see what I could do. I was in between bands, but I was just trying to go up there and whatever. And
It's almost a pilgrimage. You know?
yeah, just try to do what I could do. And we were living out in Leapers Fork, and lived on the same road as gravel road as Al Perkins.
Really?
And
That's crazy.
before I went up there, my band at the time, Jack Cadillac, we went out to Dallas in Texas and recorded. And a few of those songs after the fact, Jimmy got Al to play dobro on one and then lap steel on the other. And then, so when I moved up there, he introduced me to him, and I was like, man, I appreciate it, man. You're just great honor, all that stuff. And then there was this little art gallery that opened in Leapers Fork. And it was like, it was a small little community, but they were having a little party or whatever. And we walked in there, and Al Perkins and 2 or 3 other guys are sitting in the corner, not plugged in or anything, just sitting there playing music for just, real laid back. And I walk in, and he goes, "There's our singer." I was like, "Oh no!" And like I had to step it up quick. And whenever I sat down, and the first thing they did was Susie Q, and I'd never sang that in my life.
Lord.
And I can sing it with the radio,
Right.
or know the words with the radio, but I've never had to memorize the words or anything.
Right.
They just start, and I'm like, I was so tuned in. I was like, I cannot screw up, and I swear I learned. I didn't mess up a single word. I don't know how great I sang it. I don't know how great I sang it, but I remembered all the parts. And
You got to play with Al Perkins, man. That is insane.
Yeah, and then they handed me a guitar, and the lady it was art gallery, and all of the paintings were horses. So I was like, wild horses, and then
Man. I just sent him an email. I was just like fanboy, and I was just like, I love you, Mr. Al Perkins.
He's way laid back, man. He's so cool.
He was very nice in the email, or whoever sent it, maybe his
And
manager.
I even saw him out at one of his shows, and he asked me to come up, and I declined that time because I was like, I don't think everybody else was cool with it. He was like he's playing with some other people. Like, you come up here and like,
Man, how is it like playing up there in Nashville? Like
it's weird.
Isn't it? It's like time, like a very like strict on the times you get and all of that.
Yeah, kind of. I never really got into it real big. Actually, I would end up in some barbecue outside of Nashville, or just these little spots, and or I think Puckett's in Franklin. I played there, and a few little things, but I didn't play down on Broad Street, nothing like that. But
I was going to ask you, did you happen to run sound for Tracy Lawrence in Tifton when he played there? Mm-mm. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, I was like, I swear I've seen you.
Wait a minute. What was that festival you played at that was somebody was on the bill? In Albany or Tifton? Weren't it a festival you played at with like a Tracy Lawrence or something like that on the bill?
I played the barbecue blues and ribs.
In Tifton?
Yeah. Who was that though?
That's Brent Cobb's.
Brent Cobb played there, but he played the year before we played there.
Somebody big though. Somebody big was playing.
Hey, if you played there, you might have met too the Packway Handle Band, that bluegrass group.
I've heard of them.
I have.
They're pretty cool.
They're cool, man.
I think we've crossed paths before, but I can't remember where. But I've definitely come in and they just left, or vice versa, kind of thing.
Well, if you were in Tifton, that's pretty much our neck of the woods.
Yeah,
we're gonna figure this out.
That's right. That's right. I was just saying, I know you from somewhere, man.
I feel like we've
somehow or another, because there's too much crossing paths. Harvest Moon, they play that all the time.
Okay, yeah.
Harvest Moon. And,
I was just bothering them on the phone about trying to get a gig over there.
Well, how about this? How about let's? This has been fun so far, but how about we take a little break and have y'all come back and do some original songs.
Sounds good.
for
like a plan.
the audience right there. We'll be right back, folks, with some good original music.
Something in my brain won't let me stray. Something in my veins gonna find its way. Something in the water taught me how to pray.
This is Matt Mcmillan and the City Limits, and we're about to play a song I wrote called Take It Out. The other day I found a picture in a dusty old box of two lovers too young to know better. Their eyes were still bright with the freedom of night spent running around a world that felt bigger. Do you remember when you found that car? You said that we were gonna ride forever, and you pulled in the yard with your ragtop heart. Mama started talking about going to heaven, and we sang, take it out, we can drive it around. Nothing lasts forever, so let's go right now with top down. We'll escape this town. I wanna drive all night, so let's go right now. You know memory's worth at least 1,000,000 words, like a picture from the summer of a girl in love, standing there smiling like she understood. She's leaning on her freedom in that old car hood, but the car's now parked in an empty old lot in the mind of a middle-aged dreamer, where the rust and the rain can't stain that pain of a pure-hearted blue believer. And they say, take it out, we can drive it around. Nothing lasts forever, so let's go right now with the top down. We'll escape this town. I wanna drive all night, so let's go right now. Them years flew by and they settled like rain in the cracks of an American dream, while that girl chasing heaven's been getting up at 7 for a job she's not sure she needs. And the boy from the picture's now looking in the mirror, staring at the old man that he sees. And they can't keep from smiling every time they go riding, like them lovers from that memory. And they sing, take it out, we can drive it around. Nothing lasts forever, so let's go right now with the top down. We'll escape this town. I wanna drive all night, so let's go right now. Let's go right now. This is a song called Santa Fe. Find myself once more on an empty road. This western sky always reminds me of all my can't leave behind that familiar empty feeling just won't leave me. Like remembering you had one, but you can't recall your old dreams. Santa Fe, take me home if you can. I've bruised my heart on men and bottles, and I'm counting on the wind. Pick me up and spit me out somewhere I can start again. Santa Fe, take me home if you can. I spent my youth misspending things that were never really mine, making deals with the devil, and I never intended to pay him back on time. Running helps me, I believe, to ease my troubled mind. But the night, it is a mirror, and there ain't nothing to hide behind. That familiar empty feeling just won't leave me. It's like remembering you had one, but you can't recall your old dreams. Santa Fe, take me home if you can. I've bruised my heart on men and bottles, and I'm counting on the wind. Pick me up and spit me out somewhere I can start again. Santa Fe, take me home if you can. And out here in the dark, it all runs together. And we're all going through hell, just praying that we make it to heaven. Right and wrong, night and day, the more I see is all the same. The neon in my heart is out, so I'm going back to Santa Fe. That familiar empty feeling just won't leave me. Like remembering you had one, but you can't recall your old dreams. Santa Fe, take me home if you can. I've bruised my heart on men and bottles, and I'm counting on the wind. Pick me up and spit me out somewhere I can start again. Santa Fe, take me home if you can. Santa Fe, take me home if you can. This last song is called I Guess. I'd always thought, or at least I'd hoped by this point in my life, I'd know where to go or what to do, or at least how to find that light. I'd have a suitcase in the corner in a car full of gas. questions, and I know when to drive on past. Just up the road from a few miles back, it looks like it could be home. But ain't that the case? Things always change when you don't know what you want. When I was young, I was filled with dreams, but I didn't have much sense. And I'm older now, still like both, but I'm learning to pretend it'll work out like they said. I guess I'd still be afraid of the darkness, I might still be innocent. But it seemed like a race to fall from grace to get to where I'm at. And that's a funny thing about growing up, you never know who you'll be. I never thought I'd become quite as numb as the man that became me. But just up the road from a few miles back, it looks like it could be home. And ain't that the case? Things always change when you don't know what you want. When I was young, I was filled with dreams that didn't have too much sense. And I'm older now, I'm still like both, but I'm learning to pretend it'll work out like they said. I guess peace and religion and believe there's truth somewhere, and it wouldn't be half as empty in a world so insincere. And there's a lot of love and hatred in this place that I call home. But they say life's what you make it, it just depends on who you know. Just up the road from a few miles back, it looks like it could be home. And ain't that the case? Things always change if you ever get what you want. When I was young, I was filled with dreams, but I didn't have much sense. And I'm older now, still like both, but I'm trying to pretend it'll work out like they said. I guess.
All right, folks, we're back from the break. Some great music you guys just played.
Absolutely. You know, what can you tell us about them songs? That was all originals.
Yeah, we played three
anything
songs,
particular?
and the first we played a song called "Take It Out," Santa Fe, and then a song. One of the first songs I wrote, actually, that I don't know how the heck it came out, called "I Guess." And
Name of it is I Guess.
I guess.
I guess.
And,
You're acting.
yeah. So we were talking earlier actually about the gospel group we were in, and the lead singer was sort of flighty and moved out to Colorado just on a whim, and so that song Santa Fe I wrote was also about her, because she's always just around the country in random places and times.
Was you said she was the original lead singer for Sinner's Bench?
Yeah.
Was there romance involved in that? No,
Not with us, but
Not with us, but there was
Some
romance
sinner.
involved with
Some
her
sinner.
move, I think, maybe.
I was a different center.
Yeah.
That's further down the bench.
that's
I
right.
was about to say a
that's
different
right.
bench, maybe. I don't know.
well, getting back to that, I mean, she might be watching, but what's her name?
Her name is Lindsay Coffey.
Lindsay Coffey.
She's a phenomenal singer.
Absolutely.
Well, y'all have to check out some Lindsay Coffey there. See, how did she land? Where did she land? Out in Colorado?
Colorado.
She did, but she's actually back now.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
she
yeah?
sings. She still, when Center's Bench plays a show, we haven't been playing much, but when we
Cool.
do play a show, she usually come and sing a
A
couple of
little
songs.
reunion.
Yeah, a little reunion.
Cool.
So.
That's awesome.
She did ultimately bring the reason she went to Denver back with her. So
Yeah.
All right.
Guess it worked
he's
out.
here now.
Yeah.
Was it a three
I was
finger
going to say
lid?
pot.
I don't know if you can bring that back, but
Was it gummies?
That's right.
that'll be that'll be a Patreon story we can talk
Well,
about.
that's right. Speaking of that, I appreciate that little segue there. We do have a Patreon account now, and if you'll just take a peek at the link below, right there, and go to it, you can subscribe to our Patreon account, and you can have access to some of the raw, edgy stuff.
Uncensored.
Yeah.
Something in the water.
We're calling it something in the water, the deep end.
Yeah.
And it's from the shallow minds of Uncle Dave Griffin and Sean Clark. And but it's a little bit out there, and
We'll be nude every episode.
well, you never can tell.
No. Send your money
You're
now.
trying to get people
How
to
do I
pay,
get my money
aren't you?
back?
That's right. We want people to pay.
How do I get a refund?
But anyhow, well, folks, I guess it's about time for a tale of the week from Dog Hill to Tripoli and back from Uncle Dave Griffin. That'd be me. And this week's tale is not in the book, but it is a relevant story concerning our guest tonight from up just below Macon, Georgia in Wilcox County. This happens to be a story that happened in my life, okay? It's called, it has no title, but shall we continue? Very good.
Hey, man, you're making the rules.
I don't know whether I chose art or it chose me. All I do know is I'm glad it happened. So playing music has created a lifetime of friends and some rare opportunities to meet several high-profile associates. And this is the story of one such encounter. In 1977, Down Home Band and frontman Eddie Middleton returned to the soul food city of Macon, Georgia. Our home away from home for a couple of weeks was a big club located out the Gray Highway called Uncle Sam's. Directly across from Uncle Sam's was this funky vintage Courtesy Court Motel, the favorite lodging facility of Charlie Daniels whenever he came to town to record at Capricorn Studios. Courtesy Court Motel is where we laid our heads every night. During the day, we'd most often eat lunch in downtown Macon at the celebrated H&H restaurant, home of Mama Louise, owner and genteel lady that the Allman Brothers hired to cook for them on the road. By 77, the Allman Brothers Band was no more. They fell apart in 76. Their members were off in different musical directions. Greg formed the Greg Allman Band. Dickie Betts started up Great Southern. And Chuck Lavelle, J-Mo Johnson, and Lamar Williams formed Sea Level. Uncle Sam's was a big club. The stage stretched all the way across the back wall with the dressing room positioned down in the right corner. Looking out from the stage, the room was filled with a huge dance floor, tables and chairs, a long bar down the right side, and a little DJ booth tucked in on the left side. We had some times there. Once we shared the bill with the White Knight of Soul from Thomaston, Georgia, Wayne Cochran and the CC Riders. Mr. Cochran was a real showman, and his biggest claim to fame is having written the morbid teenage death song, Last Kiss, a big hit for J. Frank Wilson and the Cavaliers and later Pearl Jam. Another soulful night was the time we split sets with Percy Sledge and his band. When he struck out on When a Man Loves a Woman, Uncle Sam's dance floor turned into a pool of flesh and sweat. Percy was one of several legendary soul singers from the South, and a fine gentleman, too. But the night of nights was in the early winter months of 77. We were nearing the end of our third set that night when an entourage strolled in, led by Dickie Betts. He walked up to the lip of the stage, and our front man, Eddie, leaned down to shake his hand. I was immediately in a bit of awe, but what struck me the most was how short he was. What he lacked in altitude, though, he made up with attitude. Forrest Richard Dickie Betts was born December 12th, 1943 in West Palm Beach, raised up in Bradenton, Florida. His family instilled in him the music of bluegrass and country and western swing. He played guitar in several rock and roll bands before forming the Second Coming in '67 with future Allman Brothers bass player Barry Oakley. The Allman Brothers band came together in '69 in Macon. Dickie was responsible for writing several of their well-loved songs in memory of Elizabeth Reed, Blue Sky, Jessica, Ramblin' Man. In '74, Dickie released a solo album on Capricorn Records called Highway Song, which featured the legendary fiddler Vassar Clements. The entourage Betts strolled in with that night at Uncle Sam's was his new band, Great Southern. Along with them was one Steve Popovich, founder of Cleveland International Records, a subsidiary of Epic Records, where he was responsible for signing and launching the careers of Boston, Cheap Trick, Ted Nugent, Joe Tex, and Dave Loggins, who, as far as I know, still wants his girl to come to Boston. Popovich was down in Macon that night trying to get Dickie and Great Southern to sign with his new label. The Down Home Band was used to covering Allman Brothers songs, so this seemed like the perfect time to invite Dickie to join us on One Way Out. After that, the two bands convened in the dressing room as we introduced ourselves, and after a short break, it was decided that Great Southern would perform the final set of the night. The music ended, but the party was just getting started. Uncle Sam's bartender poured us a big box of quart-sized to-go draft beers before we all headed across the street to my motel room at the Courtesy Court. The next several hours were spent getting loose as a goose and fit to be tied. The high point of the night for me was when Dickie sat down on the bed and played a couple of songs off his solo album on my old Takamine acoustic guitar. I glanced over and saw Steve Popovich, the record label man, pinned in the corner of the motel room by Eddie Middleton, our frontman, who was selling himself as hard as he could. Before the night was over, Middleton was the new artist that Popovich ended up signing to his new label. Around 4 a.m, we were all in need of nourishment, set off for the south side of Macon to Hodges Carousel Lounge, the all-night soul food shack immortalized in Wet Willie's song, Red Hot Chicken. The place was a dive made in heaven. Formica-topped bar counter where we ordered up plates of chicken, potato salad, and greens, listening to funky rhythm and blues on the jukebox, and shooting pool in the middle of the room, surrounded by cheap tables and ladder-back chairs. The magical night finally wound down, and as we were making our way to our vehicles, Dickie walked up to his expensive sports car and kicked the crap out of the door with his biker boots. I thought that was kind of stupid, but nonetheless, it was his car, and he was Dickie Betts, former lead guitarist for the Allman Brothers, and what he lacked in altitude, he sure made up for with attitude. Yeah, that was a night for us right there.
That's awesome.
That's super awesome.
Well, folks, we appreciate y'all joining us again for Something in the Water, and we so appreciate having our good guests from Wilcox County.
Matt Mcmillan and Jeremy King.
Yes, sir. Good
thank
to
you so
have
much
y'all
for
so
having us.
much.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all.
And pardon me?
They got an EP out. Tell us about
tell
that.
us about that. Yeah.
We released a song back in January now, late January, early February, I think, called "Take It Out," and it's actually it's the first song we recorded
That you
tonight.
played tonight.
Yeah,
Good,
and,
good.
Yeah, and I think in a few months we've got some new material too with the 5-piece. We're going to be going back up to making and recording too. So
How about gigs? Playing anywhere
We,
that we
for
know of
the-
right now?
I mean,
At
there's
the
no
moment-
telling when this will come out, but
Yeah, yeah.
if
Well,
it's too soon, but
what day is that? We have a gig in Tifton at the Lamplighter Pub and
yeah, we played there
April.
before.
April 24th.
It'll
Where-
probably,
May the
it'll
7th.
probably-
Where can they find? Where can people find your calendar?
Go on Facebook and search Matt Mcmillan in the City Limits, and you will find all the dates we're going to be around.
Awesome.
Cool.
There you go, folks. Matt McMillan, City Limits. Mr. Jeremy King, also on Dobro and Pedal Steel. It's a pleasure to meet y'all and wonderful to have y'all tonight. Thank you, folks, for watching, and we encourage you to do all the things like, subscribe, rate,
I know what you
review,
was going.
Stream,
ring the bell,
Mash all the buttons.
call us.
pay them.
Yeah. Show us some love. Subscribe to our new Patreon account.
If you would like to sponsor the show and get an ad or whatever, just hit us up.
Appreciate it, folks.
Did you say the email?
The email. You can
Something in the
communicate
water.
with us on the email as well.
Something the Water Podcast.
At
Gmail.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Next time.
When the cold black water finds its way across through your veins, it just might seal your fate. It just might seal your fate. It just might seal your fate.